This is David Bell, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. You're listening to the Best Bell Fantasy Football Podcast.
And welcome into episode 53 of the Best Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Bradley Stalder, and tonight I'll be drafting live on Drafters Fantasy. We'll be doing a best ball draft, $20. It's not even half filled. Right now, there are 27,298 entrants into this best ball tournament. It pays out over 9,000. You have a 33% chance of not just making your money back, because if you make your money back, it's double your money. So it's actually like 2/3 of a chance to make your money back. It's actually really good. Plus the amount of entries. So we are started. It is ready to go. Welcome everyone. Use promo code BESTBELL, one word, promo code BESTBELL for a $20 ticket with a first-time deposit match into this tournament. It's open until kickoff next Thursday. We've got about a week until kickoff. It's a lot of fun. I know I've been away for a while, but I'm here. It's been too long since I've been on the stream. Life has been busy with me. I went to Canton for the FF Expo. If you want to see episode 52, I live drafted a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. And then I went to Wisconsin and they had Underdog there, but I didn't have a lot of my equipment and it was a busy time spent with family. I needed a vacation. And then last week was the first week back to school for all the things school. Because as many of you know, I am a teacher by day. So that's my day job. And then by night, fantasy analyst crushing dreams of, 12-year-olds on TikTok who think that, Christian McCaffrey shouldn't be the first overall pick in a 12-team full PPR draft. But here we are, crushing the dreams of 12-year-olds on TikTok. Okay. Nevertheless, back off from vacation. And as I mentioned last week, was a week where I was in school and it was busy. And my son, who's 6 weeks old, required a lot of attention. So there's a lot of reasons why I was not available. But here we are, ready to get back into it. I will be doing some regular waiver shows and some other content on this site, but I will also be doing content, and this is new programming. So you've heard it here first. Special announcement from Bradley. Special announcement. I will be doing two columns a week. One for fantasy data. I'll be reprising my role as a ranker on fantasy data. I will be producing rankings and writing an article once a week. I'll also be hosting a periodic show on the fantasy data YouTube channel. So check those out. Love the guys over at Fantasy Data. I will be having my own ranking show though on fantasy data once a week, where I will be talking rankings, and I'm going to bring on some of the best rankers in the industry to talk through their rankings for the week, where we disagree, where we agree. And we'll be, of course, this is still time. We'll be doing the shows probably on Friday and then Friday night. And then you'll be able to make changes to our rankings Saturday and Sunday, so forth. So that's the first piece of news, is that for fantasy data, I will be writing an article once a week on my rankings, players who are higher or lower than the consensus. And I'll be bringing on guests to discuss my rankings, of course, subject to change as we get closer to Sunday and we get more information and things happen. But my other article once a week is going to be through Top Prop Fantasy. And you can use the promo code BEST, 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 for a $50 play on, okay, we are at the 10th spot. $50 play in Top Prop Fantasy. I have 20 seconds here. I'm not looking at Najee Harris. maybe looking at Kelsey. I know this is a 3 wide receiver start, and I'm going to go with Devontae Adams. Oh, come on, click, draft, boom. Love Devontae Adams at this spot. I still think he's going to get a 28% target share. I still think he's a top 5 wide receiver. I'm not concerned. I could see CD Lamb, escalating up, but I'm kicking myself. I wanted one of Swift or Barkley. That was who I was hoping would come back around, but this is full PPR and best ball. So for those who are not familiar with Drafters Fantasy, you can use the promo code bestball, BESTBELL, for a $20 ticket into this tournament. The entries end next week, and it's only half filled. So take advantage. All right. I want a pass catcher here. Yeah, let's go CD Lamb. Let's start wide receiver. I've got Dallas and Vegas, so I can look to be stacking those players. Najee Harris falling to the 16th overall spot is about where I think you should be taking him. There are concerns about the list, Frank, but how concerned? I think that's worth debating. Some fantasy analysts, doctor analysts will say, oh, it should be really concerned. And some should say, well, actually not, because they've taken care of it. It's earlier in the preseason. The type and tendency to recur is not very high. So I'm not like fading Najee because of this injury. I'm fading Najee because I don't think he's particularly good. And I don't think the Steelers have a very good offensive line. So I've already talked ad nauseum over the last however many weeks about why I'm down on Najee. I have the under, or the less than 1,200 rushing yards for Najee. I looked again, and Prize Picks has brought down that line to 1150.5. So 50 fewer yards. That's almost an entire game. Very, very interesting. Okay, we see a lot of running backs go off the board. Interesting that, we're seeing a wide receiver run back start for 4 of the teams so far. Pretty running back heavy right now. This might lead to some value for wide receiver coming back around. For instance, at the 33rd spot, we're looking at players like DJ Moore and Courtland Sutton, who I really like taking at this spot. Like, I was really in on Travis Etienne, but now he's getting into the 3rd round, and I'm not as in on Travis Etienne in the middle of the 3rd round. Even at the end of the 3rd round, I'm going to see if I can push him to the 4th round. I'd rather have, Travis Etienne be my running back 1 in the 4th round than my running back 1 in the 3rd round. I'd rather take a DJ Moore, a Michael Pittman if he falls, a T. Higgins if he falls. Wow. Mark Andrews makes it to the 3rd round. And that's actually been a common occurrence I've seen on not just drafters, but also Underdog Fantasy. So on Underdog, I was able to get Mark Andrews 3 different times at pick 27 or later. Yeah, you heard right. Pick 27 or later. And I was able to stack him with Lamar in the 4th round or the 5th round. It's a beautiful stack. All right, we saw a lot of my favorite wide receivers go off the board here. Evans, Higgins, Moore, Pittman. I'm going to be so sad and Sutton goes off as well. Not a fan of that. But in full PPR, getting Keenan Allen as my wide receiver 3 would look really good. We'll see, though, if the viewers are going to snipe me. I don't know. Maybe. Nevertheless, Nick Chubb may be interesting. He's usually a beginning of the 3rd round pick, but for him to fall to the back of the 3rd round, I don't know. We'll time out. He'll probably get Chubb. Oh, okay. We see Lamar Jackson go in the 1st round. We see Jalen Hurts go in the 3rd round. This is not the super flex. There is a super flex draft. And we're going to go with Keenan Allen. full PPR, tournament, best ball, Keenan Allen will not get you wide receiver 1 weeks. He just won't. He had very few 2 years ago. He had absolutely 0 last year. But he is a very consistent wide receiver too. And with having Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb, I've got safe upside, I've got spike week upside, and I've got a safe floor for my wide receiver 3. So now I see Josh Allen, Gabe Davis getting stacked here at full PPR. Mike Williams went off the board right there. And as I mentioned before, I'm a fan of taking Travis Etienne here in the 4th round, not the 3rd round. I will push that value a little bit. I'm also looking in that there aren't a lot of other players that interest me here. James Conner, Ito Benjamin could have that pass catching role. Darrell Williams could have some pass catching involvement there. Terry McLaurin could have been a consideration there, but I'm going to push a little bit and see what kind of wide receivers come back to me. I mean, Deontay Johnson could come back to me. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman in the 5th round. Look, Michael Thomas in the 5th. I smash Michael Thomas every time in the 5th round. That's what I've been doing, and it feels real like my roster looks really good when Michael Thomas is my 4th or even my 3rd wide receiver in these types of tournaments. Okay, so I'm looking at a few dud teams so far. Look, somebody has to pay the rake, right? So Stevie Bear has gone 4 straight running backs, including Chubb and Harris. Mick Prick has gone Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts both before Josh Allen. And the rest of the teams look okay. I see a Swift Barkley start, which I love. Get at the 1-2 turn. I've done that a bunch, going Swift and Barkley. I fill my 2 stud running back spots, and then I can just focus on the rest of my draft, whether it's a tight end that falls, like if Kyle Pitts falls, or if, I want to do the Josh Allen, Gabe Davis stack, or if Keenan Allen, Mike Williams both fall. I love double tapping there. Mahomes goes off at the end of the 4th round. That's rich for me. Look, I am going to push quarterback in full PPR. It's just not as high of a scoring position relative to the other positions in full PPR. In half PPR, I get being aggressive with quarterback. Quarterback will tend to score more relative to the other positions in half PPR. But where the value lies is pushing quarterback in full PPR. Okay. So this is a 1 quarterback start, and I just need a decent one. There are plenty of good quarterbacks in that back end quarterback 1, beginning of quarterback 2 tier. Just to list a few, like we've already seen 5 quarterbacks go off the board. Quarterback 11 right now is Dak Prescott. Quarterback 12, Stafford. Quarterback 13, Carr. Rodgers at 14. Cousins at 15. Fields at 16. Like, those are quarterbacks you could probably roll with and then just take another one late. Okay, so we're coming up. We've gone through this so far, and I'm looking at either Michael Thomas here. And Michael Thomas is staring at me straight in the face. Dobbins, I'm not encouraged by. Cam Akers, I'm not encouraged by. I'd rather have Michael Thomas than Darnell Mooney. Thomas for the upside. Now, if I had drafted an Arizona Cardinal, this would be the time in round 6 where I would be comfortable taking Kyler Murray. And heck, I might even just take Kyler Murray here. He's got the upside. It's obvious that, he's the quarterback 6, but he could be the quarterback 1 overall. And we've seen the spike weeks. I may not have the stacking, but he's got the upside and even a rushing floor as well. So I'm talking myself into Kyler Murray here and just continuing to push running back. I sent a tweet out yesterday. I said some people are going hero RB and they're choosing the wrong hero. Travis Etienne is not the wrong hero. Okay, Travis Etienne is not the wrong hero. You can hero RB Travis Etienne. Okay, I think we're going to go Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray's upside and his floor. He's going to be fun. He's going to be safe. And yeah, the only issue with Kyler Murray the past couple of years has been the injury, and he's fully healed, fully back from that. He's got Marquise Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz, AJ Green, Rondell Moore. They brought back James Conner. Eno Benjamin is in the backfield. We've Darrell Williams, who was a top 24 back last year, is also there. Oh, and we just saw in round 6, Dameon Pierce. Oh my gosh. And we saw Lazard go off in round 5. Holy guacamole. Woo, baby. That's exciting. All right, so I've got Murray. I love the upside of this team and the floor as well with Keenan Allen there. I'll just be able to smash running the pass catching running backs, the Nyheim Hines, the JD McKissicks of the world. That's who I want to really target in these types of drafts. Maybe the Tony Pollard and Chase Edmonds, probably come back around in round 7 or 8 to get some Chase Edmonds or Tony Pollard. They're on my list. I'm in on Tony Pollard now. I had at first been out on Pollard. I was skeptical of his usage, and I was thinking that the Dallas Cowboys would bring someone in. They have emphasized time and again they're going to run him in the slot. I don't know how much. Like Tony Pollard was still like a top 7 running back in slot and wide snaps among running backs last year. So, like how much more are they going to use him? Maybe a little bit more. But I believe that they're going to involve Tony Pollard, number 1. And number 2, they didn't bring in anyone else. Jalen Tolbert, his stock is down. James Washington just went on the IR. The reality is it's going to be Noah Brown and CeeDee Lamb. And Lamb, I love Lamb. I drafted him here in the 2nd round, but you have to be a little skeptical for week 1 with the injury. Probably a little eyebrow raise. Nothing crazy though. Okay. There we go. Jose, we're back at it. Yeah, I am in a best ball draft. Sorry, this was the time I was able to get it, Jose. I've got my 6-month-old upstairs, or 6-week-old upstairs, and the other children are sleeping. And of course, Tony Pollard goes off. But I still like Chase Edmonds here. If I can get Chase Edmonds, I think he's going to be a great value. The Millions tournament may not fill up. I doubt it will. And I might have to just push a little more into it because this is the time. This is the time. Hayden Winks, who does work for Underdog, I think he came up, he did the research, and also Miller from Establish the Run. Both of them have done work on the ceilings of teams and the time to draft. And August, like the last week before drafts, is the most optimal. That's where you see like the highest spiked teams. There's not really a differentiator between whether or not you're going to like make it in, whether or not you'll pass through in like the playoffs. But the highest spike week teams during the regular season tend to come during August. So yeah. The overlay is going to be killer. And especially when you're drafting and you see Dameon Pierce go in the 6th round and Lazard go in the 5th round and Hurts go in the 3rd round and Lamar Jackson go in the 1st round. I think they forgot that this is, a 1 quarterback draft. All right. One of the upside plays, he's healthy now. Kadarius Toney. Love Kadarius Toney. Oh my gosh. If you want to look up FF Stalder, Kadarius Toney on Twitter, you can just search and you can see what kind of love I was given to Kadarius Toney back in March, back in April, right? This is a player that I thought would lead the team in targets, and it's not going to be Kenny Golladay. It was going to be Kadarius Toney. He's got upside. He moves like a human joystick. And now he's healthy. And I think that the Giants offense is going to be a lot better. And they're going to get the ball into Kadarius Toney's hands. And I keep getting sniped on these dang running backs. I was hoping to get Ramondre Stevenson on the back. But here we are. You know what? We're at pick 87. I'll go DeAndre Hopkins. I don't need him, but he stacks with Kyler Murray. And it's after ADP. I've got some high upside wide receivers and have a little bit of risk. Find Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney have injuries. But this is where you want to fill in your flex. This could really, really crush this year. How many redrafts am I in? Not very many, to be honest. I've got my school draft. So we're doing a draft tomorrow for all of Westfield Prep, the high school I teach at. And like with 13 other teachers and administrators and people who are at the school. And it's a lot of fun. So not that many redraft. I've got my home league draft next Tuesday, I think. Yeah, nothing crazy. So only 2 redraft leagues. I have like 20 dynasty leagues, 25 dynasty leagues, something like that. I don't know. I've lost track. And then I've done over 300 best ball drafts this offseason. So, yeah, it's good. Jose said he's doing 5 of the $20 drafters. Yeah, and just like Jose, if you want to jump into one of these $20 drafters million best ball championships, use the promo code bestball for a first-time deposit, and it'll give you a free $20 ticket into this best ball tournament. So take advantage of it. Use the promo code bestbell, one word. All right. Looks like I'm being pigeonholed here into the Hero RB. The Hero RB. Yeah, the million. And the winner of this tournament gets $250,000. $250,000. 250. You think I can quit my job if I get 250? Well, if you take away taxes, that's like $100,000 that I end up winning after taxes. Still $100,000. That'll pay off the car. That'd pay off our student loans, although Biden's already trying to do that. But nevertheless, I don't talk politics very much. People don't like it, but no, I would definitely, pay off all my debts first and my wife's student loans and the car, and then get her something nice. Then I'd probably max enter a few other things next year. So yeah, no, lots of fun. But yeah, if we win the tournament, that sounds great. That'd be a lot of fun, Jose. Okay, cool. So let's see where we're at here. Best quarterbacks still left out there. Well, there's Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Running backs, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Walker, Nyheim Hines. I'm good at wide receiver. I'll keep picking off value, and then I've ignored tight end as well. I think if you don't end up getting some of those early tight ends, if you don't get Kelsey, and I was sniped on Kelsey. I was thinking about getting Kelsey there. If you don't get Kelsey or Andrews or Pitts, like just wait forever. This is best ball. Tight ends tend to get spike weeks. Need your advice. Drafting tomorrow in the $350 Player Profiler Championship. Well, I am jealous because the FFWC just closed down in Michigan, so I can't play anymore. I can manage my teams or watch my best ball teams go, but I can't do anything anymore for them. But once I make my picks, I'll talk about a general strategy I'll have for that. Okay. Oh, good. Kareem Hunt is there, and I want Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is the perfect full PPR running back too, I think. This draft is going swimmingly. I'm very happy about it. Okay. So the general strategy, so player profiler, here's what I would do. I would keep a couple things in mind. ADP is already set, pretty set. Like there's only one more weeks of drafts to influence ADP. I would recommend staying around ADP. Don't reach too far. But also keep in mind that I believe it's a start 3 wide receiver, full PPR, no tight end premium. So if you don't get one of those tight ends, I would not get a tight end in the first round. Tight ends usually get depressed in the FFWC and the Player Profiler Championship. A couple of things that I've seen successful is if you get like Kelsey in the middle of round 2 or Andrews at the end of round 2 or Pitts in middle of round 3, like that's fine. But if you don't get any of those tight ends, just wait forever and play the waiver wire. Honestly, like that's what you should do. You shouldn't, focus on aiming for upside. So if you have a pick 6 or later, I don't know what pick you have at this point, Jose, but if you pick 6 or later, like Stephon Diggs needs to be a priority pick. And I'm up here. So give me a second. See, y'all are like fading Chase Claypool like he's dead. I just can't do it. He's such a spike week player. Okay. So I would focus on Stephon Diggs if you're pick 6 or later. Prioritize him. Full PPR. He's an anchor. He's going to be on arguably the best offense in the NFL. We saw touchdowns increase, red zone usage increase. We saw all air yards increase, all of those like metrics increase. He was not as efficient last year. Efficiency is really fickle. So I'd expect that he would be on his way back. So Diggs is a priority in round 1. If you get pick 6 or later, and then coming back around, take value. I don't think Barkley is going in the first round or going in the second round anymore. Maybe I haven't seen the ADPs for there, but I would suspect that Barkley, if he is in the second round, that's also a priority pick. Barkley or Swift. As I mentioned earlier in this draft, I love Barkley and I love Swift. Those are the types of players that could be the Jonathan Taylors from last year. You know, how we were drafting Jonathan Taylor at the end of round 1 because we were like, well, there are some things going for him, but then he just explodes. Those are the types of like Swift and Barkley are the profile that fit. At the end of the first round, there's something just not perfect with it. The Colts, there was ambiguity about the offense, and Carson Wentz is below average. They've got a good offensive line. And the Giants don't have a terrible offensive line. That's why I think Swift is probably the better. I'm not going to say he's Jonathan Taylor. He's built differently, different type, the whole bit. But in what Swift could do for fantasy is exactly what Jonathan Taylor can do or could do like Jonathan Taylor did last year. So if you can get Swift or Barkley, in this next tier of running backs, that would be clutch. If not, prioritize another pass catching back. And that includes Aaron Jones. That includes Alvin Kamara, right? We probably aren't going to get any news about Alvin Kamara. He's going to get volume, pass catching volume. He was inefficient with his rushes last year. But that's because he had like 70 more rushes than his career high. New coach who's been in the system a while, knows what's up. And Jameis Winston is willing to throw the ball to whoever is open. Like, he can see now. The LASIK surgery works. I am pro Jameis Winston. Let me be on the record. I'm pro Jameis Winston this year. Okay. So that's how it would begin. I would focus on Diggs, making sure that you got one wide receiver. Now, let's say you missed out on on Barkley or Swift. Seeing CD Lamb fall would be fine. Like, I'm okay with CD Lamb and Travis Kelce as well. So those are some of the priorities there in the second round. I really don't want to be flirting with I don't want to over pluck up AJ Brown. I do like him this year, but I don't want to reach in those rounds. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking through the first couple rounds, and then just smashing one of T. Higgins or DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Cortland. Well, Cortland Sutton near the end of the third round, but still end of the third round, beginning of the fourth round for Sutton. I love Higgins, Moore, Pittman in the third round if you're going wide receiver. Don't be afraid to fill your flex. Don't be afraid to fill your flex and go 4 straight wide receivers and then figure out the rest. Like, it's okay to push it. Your onesie positions will probably be available on the waiver wire or pretty close to it. Oh, you guys are gifting me Nyheim Hines. Wait. Hold on. What? 13 picks after ADP. You're gifting me Nyheim Hines in a full PPR. Are you kidding me? Round 11, Nyheim Hines. Holy guacamole. All right, here we go. Love it. He's the spike week running back in full PPR with a better quarterback upgrade, great offensive line, Philip Lindsay cut, ambiguity, pass catching behind Michael Pittman. It's perfect. It's perfect. So Nyheim Hines. I love seeing it. Okay. Let's see. No, not Kenny Galladay. Let's see. We've got a little bit. Any other pass catching running backs that I see? I'm not going to go Pacheco here. Let's see. All right. Irv Smith said he's going to be, or the word is that Irv Smith is going to be available week 1. So I don't mind, reaching a little bit there for Irv Smith. I'll probably come back around and get David Njoku around early. If you miss out, this is my strategy for the tight ends. If you miss out on the Kelce, if you miss out on Pitts and Andrews, just wait and wait and wait on tight end. I mean, unless Goddard falls around, which I've seen Dallas Goedert fall around, then you should be considering the Irv Smiths of the world, the Gerald Everetts, the David Njokus. Yeah, those 3. Gerald Everett, David Njoku, Irv Smith. And if you want to push it even further, if you want like 2 of that tier and then 1 of Hayden Hurst or Hayden Hurst, Brevin Jordan, Mo Alley Cox. Those are like my really late tight ends that I do like taking. Because Mo Alley Cox is running the routes like a tight end 1 would. And we saw what Matt Ryan can do with Austin Hooper. Oh, he supported Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Austin Hooper and Devonta Freeman. And he's got a great offensive line, but only Michael Pittman to throw to. Mo Alley Cox is definitely a tight end that you need to be in your late round tight end rotation of who you choose. Like, he should be a priority up there. I don't know my underdog percentage, but my drafters has got to be pretty high. Let me see if I can find my player exposure as well. I'm here. Okay. So just for transparency, my number 1 most exposed tight end is Irv Smith at 16% in drafters. Cole Kmet at 15%. Gerald Everett at 14%. Goddard at 14%. Jordan at 13, Njoku at 12, Mo Alley Cox at 11, Tyler Conklin at 11, Mike Gesicki is at 11, but he was at like 15, 16 a month and a half ago, and now I haven't drafted almost any of him, so it's down to 11. I faded him a bit, even though I'm a little heavy. Hayden Hurst is at 10, Albert Akuagbunam is at 10, Hawkinson at 8, Kittle at 8, Knox at 7, Pitts at 7. Kelce at 5. Yeah. So you get it. I didn't draft very much Andrews on where's Andrews? I definitely drafted a few of, yeah. So I've got like 3 shares of Mark Andrews, like 1 or 2% of Mark Andrews on there. But I have a lot of Mark Andrews on Underdog because Underdog freaked out when Isaiah Likely went like 6 for 100 in the preseason game. Mark Andrews is going to be just fine. Okay. I'm not worried at all about Mark Andrews. And so when he was falling to the 3rd round, that's exactly the type of value you want to be scooping up. I wasn't willing to spend Mark Andrews beginning to mid 2nd round draft capital. Just not willing to do it. Like if I'm going to go early round tight end that early, give me Travis Kelce. Not necessarily because Travis Kelce has the spike weeks, but he, and I mentioned this on podcasts before, but his rate of getting 15.5 PPR fantasy points was over 60%. Mark Andrews, who was 2nd in that rate, was only at 42%. There's a significant tier difference in the boom bustiness between Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. Okay, as David Njoku gets sniped from me. I'm not happy about that. Okay. Gerald Everett is going to be the pick here. So I've got double tight end. I love latching on to the Chargers tight end because they're going to get 13 to 15% of the targets. Irv Smith has the spike week potential that we saw before the injury, and he should be ready to go week 1. And now I'll just be able to pick off value here. Oh, baby, I might be able to go Jameis Winston. Okay. I think I'll go Winston here as a spike week. Yeah, you're welcome, Jose. So that's how I would start. I would not be afraid to go heavy with the wide receivers in full PPR, especially because I think you're starting 3 in that league, plus a flex or 2 flexes. I can't remember the exact, amount, but filling your flex is not a bad idea. Okay, so let's recap my draft right now. Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston are my quarterbacks. Travis Etienne, Kareem Hunt, Nyheim Hines are my running backs. Devonta Adams, CD Lamb, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney, DeAndre Hopkins, Chase Claypool are my wide receivers. And at tight end, Irv Smith, Gerald Everett. Yeah, so Jose, what I would do is not be afraid to go 5 wide receivers to start. Okay. If a running back value shows up there, or if a Swift is at the right spot or a Barkley is at the right spot, don't be afraid to take them. But prioritizing wide receivers is going to be valuable unless you see massive values fall. We're talking around plus 3 spots of ADP is not going to make a big difference. But 12 spots, 15 spots, a round or more is where I start to say, yep, I want to smash that. Or even 9 spots, 10 spots. That's where I start to eyebrow raise a little bit. And I think that's the threshold, is 9-ish spots from ADP is where I start to say, you know what, maybe I need to consider the value added of this player compared to what my game plan is. And a lot of fantasy analysts will say, be flexible. I think that's right. You should be flexible in your draft. Let the draft come to you. You want to win by having the best players, of course, but at the best value. You don't want to be reaching. Let the draft come to you. You can love players, and I've said this all offseason. You can love players, but just draft them at ADP. Like, there's no reason to drive up ADP, especially if you want to keep drafting them at that spot. Like what I was seeing in some drafts, like some players are taking them like 3 rounds ahead of ADP or 2.5 rounds of it. Don't do that. Not at least not in like the first 12 rounds or so. Like, just don't do it. It's so minus EV because you're missing out on players who are going at those spots. And Like, you try to play the market, but taking a lot of strong stands is usually a bad bet. You and Billy, well, thank you, Jose. Yeah, I'm starting to jump into these a little bit more as well. So it's Billy has like dragged both of us along, but yeah, I'm still playing a lot of smaller stakes. It's fine. It allows me to get my fix in, I think, is the deal. I want more of a fix. Okay. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, why Isaiah Spiller? Well, that's because Sony Michel signed this week, and I'm looking at who else could be available. Arizona, New Orleans, nothing's really popping out to me. Jerick McKinnon, going to be the third down back in Kansas City. He's going to be involved. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not the answer, it's going to be Jerick McKinnon. And we've seen Jerick McKinnon have 2 samples over the last 2 seasons that have accumulated over 10 games. He's been a back-end running back 1 on average in that 10-game sample. Like, in his 3 playoff games, he had 300 total scrimmage yards this past year. He may be 30, but his skill set doesn't require him to run between the tackles. In fact, that's probably going to be the Jerick McKinnon, Ronald Jones, or the Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones role. I think it's bad news for Isaiah Pacheco that Ronald Jones is still on the team, but nevertheless. All right. So a couple later round players that, like, I'm so heavy on Curtis Samuel. I need to not draft Curtis Samuel here just for what it's worth. Let's look at some running backs, see who has some pass catching chops that I can get some cheap PPR points. And that's going to be Amir Abdullah. But I'm going to wait on him. I'm going to put him in my queue. Yeah, let's go Jameson Williams. I've got some depth there. Might as well. I'll keep pushing running back a little bit. I've got 4 running backs, all of them pass catchers. But I've added, who are some other pass catching backs that could be super valuable and who might not have caught up? Mike Davis will be very useful week 1, I think. And look, maybe it's Kenyon Drake. It's not a strong take that I have that that's going to be Mike Davis over Kenyon Drake. My strongest argument, my strongest lean is that it's going to be Mike Davis because he's played all of the preseason with the team, and Kenyon Drake just signed yesterday or today. Another late rounder, Boston Scott. I want to make sure Boston Scott is on my team. Jaylen Warren could step into a huge role as the number 2 running back in Pittsburgh. Let me see here. Who are some other running backs? I'm just scrolling through because I'm good at wide receiver, I think. Good at wide receiver, and then I just need to add some tight ends. So Molly Cox, Brevin Jordan, as I mentioned. I am good at wide receiver, so I'm not going to draft any more wide receivers. And Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston are going to have to be the quarterbacks to get me to the promised land. Now it's up to the running backs. Justin Jackson is cut, unfortunately. Dario Gumbawale made the team. Made Houston's team, surprisingly. Mike Boone is the running back 3 in Denver. Tristan Ebner is very interesting. He made the team. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with some more running backs to finish out this. Running backs and tight ends. 1 more tight end and probably 3 more running backs. Let's look at the queue. And just based on ADP, who's the earliest? Right now, this is just get your guy at these spots. And Amir Abdullah probably fits into that James White role. I'll take some pass catchers. Right now, my wide receiver group is so stacked that I'm not worried at this point. Like, it better be Adams, Lamb, Keenan Allen, Tony, Claypool that get me there. Michael Thomas as a bonus, Hopkins as a bonus, Jamison Williams later on in the season as a bonus. Okay. Cool. And I think I'm going to go, unless I get sniped here, which I do not, I'm going to go Mo Alley Cox. Love some Mo Alley Cox now. We needed clarity. Honestly, we needed clarity at the tight end position for Indy. And there was a rookie tight end undrafted. I can't remember his name, but he was coming on strong. But then towards ACL, now is on IR, out for the season. And he was running, I think, with the ones a lot. But now it's just been Mo Alley Cox. It's not going to be Kylan Granson. It's not going to be Jelani Woods. It's going to be Mo Alley Cox this year. It takes time to develop, and Cox is an athletic freak. So you want him on your team, especially when he could have the Austin Hooper role for Matt Ryan. And to get him this late in the 18th round, starting tight end on a good offense, yeah, give me that. I did not have a lot of Mo Alley Cox early in the offseason. There was just too much risk. Too much risk. To get him in round 18, there's still not a lot of risk. Even though we know his role is defined. We know he's going to run routes. We know he's going to be an end zone target. Like, there are legitimate paths to Mo Alley Cox being a back end tight end one, or at least having some significant spike weeks. Okay. And I'm down to the last two picks, and it'll be who I fancy. I don't have a lot of Boston Scott in drafters. I have a bit of him now in Underdog, so I'm not going to, push the envelope with that. But I do want a little bit of Boston Scott sprinkled in, especially given that Miles Sanders hasn't practiced in the last 2.5 weeks. That's concerning to me. That is a big red flag. You know what else is concerning? Jalen Waddle. It hasn't been practicing for a while. Yeah. All right. Jose said, I'll take 2 tight ends in this 20-round draft if I don't get the top 3. Yeah, I think that's the way to go, and I'll take 3 of them because maybe Underdog, there were times where 4 tight ends were used to pass through, and that was actually the highest pass-through rate, was a 4 tight end build in Underdog, believe it or not. But I don't think that would fly in drafters because in Underdog, it's half PPR. Drafters, it's full PPR. And tight ends depend so much more on the touchdowns to give them points than target share and getting targets. So that's why, I'm not going to go with a 4 tight end build. Even I don't think that's translatable tournament to tournament. All right, we see Chenault go off the board, Shepard go off the board. It's these late round wide receivers that I'm just not fans of. Like, just the chance that a late round wide receiver breaks out is extremely unlikely. You might as well just take a shot on, late round running back, and because they can step into a volume role. Okay. Let's go with my old boy Mike Davis. We'll come back around and probably take some Jalen Warren, maybe. Yeah, Jose says best ball makes some types of builds possible. I agree. If anything, I think that in your home leagues, I would not go 0 RB very often. In best ball, when you don't need to bank on who's going to be your number one, like zero RB could be much more viable when you're like closing your eyes and you're just saying, someone get me points. Somebody get me points. All right. So we're going to go with Jaylen Warren here. Okay, cool. So I finished with a 2-7-8-3 build, 20 round draft, and I had Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston, my quarterbacks, Etienne, Hunt, Hines, McKinnon, Abdullah, Mike Davis, Jaylen Warren as my running backs, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney, DeAndre Hopkins, Chase Claypool, Jameson Williams as my wide receivers, Irv Smith, Gerald Everett, Mo Alley Cox as my tight ends. This is so on brand for me. Like, this is extremely on brand. The ETN pick after ADP, Winston, Kyler Murray, Hunt, Hines, like most of the early round picks, all after ADP. I reached one spot on Devontae Adams, but pretty much everyone else was at or after ADP, which is on brand. And the players that I like fell to me. Like, one of the ones I'm really proud of is Nyheim Hines, 11, 12 spots after ADP. That is gorgeous, just gorgeous. And I don't see any bye week issues, really. Like, each position, week 9 is going to be hard for me at wide receiver. But by that time, Jameson Williams should be back. He'll have missed 5 games plus week 6. So probably week 7 is when we'll see some Jameson Williams. And then we'll have week 8 and 9 that he'll be able to play. So I'm excited for what this team can do. I don't think I'm going to take a lot of zeros. And that's really what you want to avoid in these types of tournaments. What I found last year in the underdog best ball drafts that I did that were unsuccessful, I took a lot of zeros, in particular at quarterback and at tight end. So getting studs at those spots or getting volume at those spots is going to be a difference maker. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. So Jose, thank you for popping in. Everyone else who's been watching, thank you for watching. Once again, if you really liked playing on Drafters, or if you've never done it before, use the promo code BESTBELL, one word, BESTBELL, for a $20 ticket into this tournament. Okay. Yeah. With first time deposit, use the promo code. That'll get you $20 ticket into this tournament. And if you want to see, let's go and check it out. Okay. Right now, as I said, 27,372 entrants so far in a 55,000 entry tournament. It's not going to fill by next Thursday, and 9,000 people are not just going to make their money back, but double it. Okay. So is plus EV. I think this is going to be a great overlay. As Jose mentioned earlier, it's going to be, overlay is money, right? Overlay is money. And just, you'll have some good teams and they'll look so nice. And you don't want to take the zeros in the best ball. Make some smart picks, get some wide receiver value, take some late round running backs that'll help fill out your roster. And that's a good strategy for right now for these best ball tournaments over the next week. I've got a few redraft leagues coming up this week and next week. As I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I will be doing 2 articles this season, one for fantasy data, which will focus on my rankings for fantasy data, which you can find on Fantasy Pros. Bradley Stahl, you can look me up, and I'll be doing a ranking show with fantasy data once a week. That'll also be on audio for fantasy data. And then the other article I'm going to be writing is for a new site. Their app hasn't even dropped yet. Top Prop Fantasy. And you can use the promo code BEST, BEST. And it's essentially you play against your friends. Okay. It's you create a tournament, but play against your friends. And it's just the best prop You pick the best prop versus your friends, and you get to match up against them, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm talking about some of my favorite matchups on there, and when the season starts. So those will be coming out next week around Friday. So keep your eyes peeled for those. And then my programming is going to be more of the beginning of the week here on Best Bell Fantasy. That way I can build up my brand and still work on some projects behind the scenes. School is going to be starting next week too. So all the things are coming together. It's this is what we've been prepping the whole off season for. A lot of fun, a lot of analysis, and I'm happy to get back into it. It's been a couple weeks. I know y'all might have forgotten about me, but I'm back, and it's better than ever. And we've got some awesome things happening here for Best Bell Fantasy for myself and hopefully expanding this world that we're in. All right, everyone. Until next time, as I like to say, good luck in the best ball streets.